Right. Welcome.
Hi, Olivia.
Hey, Paula. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good. We've got a couple of other people that are jumping on. They had the wrong link or I don't know, something. So we'll have a few other people jumping in
Okay.
for today. And then the way we typically, just to kind of, I guess, catch you up while we're waiting for them to jump in, we typically do a call on Thursday that's more of a like specific topic. So like
Okay.
this upcoming Thursday, we're going to be looking at the 12-week work year. That's going to be a book that we're reading together in January. Um, the or the 12-week year. On Tuesdays, that is, and I mentioned it yesterday. On Tuesdays, a lot of what Tuesdays is like if somebody has a specific challenge, like, hey, I want this or I want that. If more than one person does, I just have kind of a time set up so that we can always do that together. Like that way, we're not having to wait for a training class. Hey, I'm missing this or I need this system. Tuesdays is pretty much more systems than anything.
What time on Tuesday, Olivia?
That is 3 to 4 Central. So, and we'll send that an email out about that and what we're going to cover this upcoming Tuesday.
Okay.
And but where today came up was we have several clients that actually been working on this piece with the database. They were I'm going to say getting stuck for a lack of a better word. And so I said, hey, look, let's just, anybody that's available, let's jump on a call. Let's go through this, make sure we have a plan. And then it becomes individually, what do we need to do? So that's what this call's about today. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen. Now, for everybody that's on the call, you have this in your hub. So I am going to ask that if everybody will go ahead and go to their hub and pull this and actually pull this up. And it's going to be one of the links in your hub. It's going to say Mindshare. And the reason that I want you to pull it up is my intent is for us to actually make adjustments on it so that when you get off of the call, you have your entire 36 touch plan set for next year. Now, the next step will be actually putting it in into the plans, right, or in Command or whatever database system you're using. And yet we want to be able to see as an overview. Now, I'll also say that the reason that I'm sharing it in Google Drive is because that was the easiest way for me to share with everybody and to see it at a glance. It is absolutely 100% okay to like take this and print it or it doesn't matter how you do it, but you could print it and put it on your wall. Like you could send it to Office Depot and they could print a huge big one. You can put it on your wall. And that way, as a team, you guys can discuss these things and make sure, okay, if this is the plan that we're going to enact this year, okay, let me now put the reminders in place so that we can make it more give it more automation. And yet we want to have, this is the game plan for this year for my database. So most of you guys know this, and I want you to do the math on it really quickly. So for how many people are in your database, if you multiply that by 10%, that is the return we should be getting if we're doing a true 36 touch. So easy math, let's say I have 300 people in my database, and they're what we call METs or contacts. If you look at the way the new MREA, that means we've had a two-way conversation. And they either have, implied or explicit agreement for us to continue to contact them, talk to them. We should be at a 10, our goal is to get to a 10% or higher conversion. So if we've got 300 people, we're looking for 30. Now, what I'm describing here and what we're looking at, this is not going to, like, let's say that you do, whether it's Facebook leads, Zillow, any of those places that people buy leads, This is not for them. Now, once you talk to them and you establish a connection and you work them through like a 19 touch and you solidified the connection, yes, then you want to pull them in. But this is not something like, let's say you got 4,000 people in your database and you only know, or, 500 know you. Well, this is for the 500, and then we want to keep building or adding to that, if that makes sense, right?
Olivia, you asked us to open up this Mindshare, but it's a video.
No, there should be, there is a video on it. And then there is if you go into the hub piece. So what we emailed you last night or yesterday evening, there should be a link to a hub. And then on there. And I'm glad you asked that question. Is there anybody that does not or cannot pull this up that we need to email it to or get clarified of where it is? Because when you open up the hub, and when I refer to the hub, it's going to look like what's my screen right here.
Yeah.
And then over here on the left, you're going to have something that says Mindshare, and that's what you're going to click on.
I have to request access.
Okay, click on that real quick, and then Mon will give you the access to that.
Okay.
All right, Tanya, everybody else, Tanya, Dylan, y'all have it? You're good?
I just got on. I'm sorry. I missed the question. I missed what happened.
Pull up in your hub.
This is Sydney on Dylan's account, but yes, we have it.
Pull up on the hub and click on the piece that says Mindshare.
Okay.
And you want to open that. That way, as we go through here, you can actually make these notes on yours as well.
Okay.
Yeah. My intent is for us to walk out of here and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my database this year. We all might be in different places with our database. So some people, maybe you're going to, you're still building it out. So you're going to start this middle, the first quarter or something like that. That's all fine, but we want to have an idea of where we're going. Okay. Any other questions before? Hey, Sydney. Yes. Perfect. Sydney, do you, did they give you access to this from John, or do we need to send you an email link real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Okay. And we all have this. So I want to make sure that if you have questions, stop me. My intent today is not to be a lecture like this. We actually want to be able to implement this piece. So go back to this. There's a couple of things that we want to be aware of. So that there's going to be a tab at the bottom that says 36 touch system. So if you guys will click that, make sure that you have access to this. And anybody that doesn't, just raise your hand or unmute yourself and say we don't have access. Okay, looks like you guys are good. So this is just an example of what a 36 touch system is. So we want to capture the mind share. When they think real estate, they think you, right? That's the piece of this. So most of you guys, you're very familiar with this. So I'm going to go quick. 36 touch. We want to touch them 36 times a year in different ways. So some general rules of that is 2 emails a month, preferably 2 video emails. The reason I say preferable is if you don't want to do that, don't do that, right? It's your business. And also, if you're like, well, I don't know what to do with that yet. Okay, just start with regular emails, and then second or third quarter, we can come back and start doing video emails, right? 4 phone calls a year. Everybody in your database should receive 4 phone calls a year. Now, let me back up. When I say phone calls, there is one MAPS client that he closed 80-something transactions this year. No, that's not. Sorry, let me back up. 600,000, and it was little. Oh, I'll have to look back at his numbers, but it was like 60 transactions, right? And he doesn't call, he texts. That's not going to work for everybody. Now his people are there. All of his business is his database, and he we talk about the contacting them 4 times a year, and he does all of these things. So whatever that is for you, as long as it's working. If it's not working, then pick up the phone, right? But we want 4 contacts. We want 2 client events each year. Now, if you've never done a client event, you might go, you know what? My intent is to grow to 2. I want to do 1 this year, and that's okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about client events and how to make, in the season of COVID, how to do that. And then we want to do some promotions. So some giveaways, and we want 4 of those a year, okay? And there's some examples here of promotions, and I'm just pointing these out so that when you go back in, you can go, okay, I like this promotion better, or if I'm not sure what I would do as promotion, there's some ideas here. Okay. There's also, okay, so now we're kind of all on the same page. So now we're going to go to this Mindshare piece. Now, again, I'm working it in Google Drive. You might choose to use this or print it out and handwrite it. It doesn't matter. But for today, my intent is for everybody to walk away from today's call and go, we have a 36 touch in place. So number 1, we want to make sure the most important piece of this is those 4 contacts once a year that you're talking to them, those 4 contacts. So we suggest the DTD2 method of this. So the DTD2, which is do the database to, just says that I'm going to break down everybody in my database, and I'm going to create a tag in command. And so what that means is everybody with the last name of A&W, we're going to tag them. And the first week of January, I'm going to call everybody with the last name of A&W. Next week, I'm going to call everybody whose last name is B&E. That ensures by the end of the quarter, everybody has received a phone call from me. Okay.
So, let me ask you something. What's that, like S and N behind those? A and W, and then an N?
Yeah, so that's the second piece. So that would be, so we're going to call everybody the last name of A and W, and then we're going to text everybody with the last name of N.
Oh.
And that way, because if you think about it that way, when in that 12-week period, right, in that quarter, what we're doing is, so if we call everybody with A and W, well, N's don't actually get called until like the last week of February. Well, this ensures that they still get contacted, right? So we're going to stay with the first quarter really quickly, and then we'll open it up and we'll look at the whole bit. So, so we're making these calls. We're going to send this text. Let's say that we're going to do a promotion or a giveaway this first quarter. Now, many of you did a lot of things in Thanksgiving or December for your database. So you might say, you know what, I want to do a giveaway or promotion in February. That way we're kind of splitting it up a little bit, and that's okay. I'm just giving an example of saying, okay, if I'm going to do a reverse bold 100 or a giveaway in January as an example, if you'll notice right here in blue, I have reverse bold 100 giveaway. Well, there's steps that I need to take in order to do any type of giveaway, right? We want to send out, hey, reminders and text and emails. Well, the cool part, as you build this out, you can come back in and go, well, if I'm going to do that, what's my action plan? Okay, this is the week that I need to make sure that I have all of the pieces to that purchased. Okay, this is the week that I need to ask for sponsors. You know, if I'm going to get my sponsors involved and that type of thing, I'm going to send out this type of an email or this type of a Facebook. So you have that in your calendar and you can see that for the whole year. Now, we're going to do a little bit of that today, but that's just kind of an overview. Something else that I would suggest here is if you scroll all the way to the left, and if this does not show up in your mind share, it's because I've recently added it and we will share this with you. But a lot of times we don't make calls because we're not 100% sure what to say, right? Like they know me, they like me, but I'm just going to call them. And so this is an example. And if you like it, use it. If you don't, go through all the different script books and go or what you would say and write it down and go, okay, this is what I'm going to say. Because for the first quarter, if you think about it, we're saying the same thing to everybody in January, February, and March. We only need to know one like dialogue or what is our point. Now, the way that we're going to make that personal is by using the Ford method, right? At the beginning of the call or end of the call, we're always, how are you doing? You know, I saw that you were on I saw that you guys just came back from Disney, right? Now we're talking about recreation. That's how we build the rapport. Then we're going to go into, so I want you to just, when I talk about scripts or dialogues at any time, know that it's just understood. The first thing that we're going to talk about is we're creating rapport, right? Now we go into, hey, while I've got you on the phone, I wanted to verify the information that I've got for you is correct. Because I'd like to send you a birthday card this year, you know, however you say that. In addition, I want you to know that we're providing a referral service to all of our clients. Not only can you call when you know somebody who wants to buy or sell, you can also call us if you're looking for a vendor. We want to be, or I want to be, your one-stop resource if you ever have need for painting, handyman, pool service, landscaping, housekeeper. I've got a list of vendors that I'd love to share with you. Do you have any needs right now that I could help with by referring someone to you? So now we've talked real estate, and yet it is coming from contribution. You could take this one more step further and say, hey, what is your, and by the way, we always are looking to add people. Who have you had phenomenal service with lately that should be on my list of vendors? And they go, oh my gosh, my tree trimmer was amazing, blah, 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 or my whatever. Great. Now you get their information. It gives you an opportunity to call that person and potentially invite them into your vendor list and into your database. But go ahead and decide, okay, if I'm going to have that call the first quarter, I've got an example of the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. I'm not having to think about, oh, I don't know what to say when I call. It's all, you're pre-building all of that in. Any questions right now? Thoughts? What works?
Great. No, this is really good. I mean, I like more scripts, and so I'll probably, you know, look into more scripts just to kind of keep it, you know, I guess, but I like the consistency. I like this. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And so, yeah, so, and like I said, that's where we start putting our own twist. I will share additional scripts with everybody. And yet the cool part about scripts is it could be something you wrote. It's just like you said, the consistency of going, okay, this is what I want to focus on at this time. Right. Okay. So now I'm going to come back to the whole piece of this. So remember I said that twice a month, we want to send out emails. Mm-hmm. So if you'll notice what I have in green, that's an email. And so what that just looks like is if you hover, or when I hover over mine, it says market update. So basically I'm saying, because one of our emails every month should be a market update, whether that is something that's supplied by your market center, by your MLS, or you create it, or like the, there's some things in Command, like the market snapshot. If you have everybody on a market snapshot, well, that would be your monthly email market update, right? you're going to want one other email to go out every month.
So let me ask you about the market updates you said now, because I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And even in Maryland, there's like, I service some like 4 or 5 counties. Virginia, about 3 different counties. So how we do like a general, like market update?
So I'll share, I'll share a form that's been used in the past where you could actually, you could do you could even do like, because those areas are so close, you could do Maryland and these areas are this and these. So it's there. I can send you a template for that. And then, so that you're not, because then you don't have to go, okay, well, these people in Maryland, I'm going to send them this. No, it can have all 3 of those markets on one type of sheet. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing that I'm going to ask everybody to do is, in your, or actually, let me come back to this. So now, we want you to have, okay, we're going to send an email out here and here. Well, the market update one's really easy because that's a market update. Now, some people, I'm going to show y'all kind of a list of ideas that you can do. The better or the more hyper local this is, the better. So what I mean by hyper local is it could be anything from something to do with a school in your area. It could be about like, what's going on in the area. You want it in your actual market, not just some random email that isn't appropriate for your market. So I'm going to show you a couple of a list of ideas on that piece. So we're going to come back to this. But so if you noticed, if we're going to do 4 promotions, so example would be, let's say we're going to do a Reverse Bold 100 giveaway. Now we're going to go ahead. What are the events? We said we wanted 2 events. The events that I decided on was, okay, we're going to do a portrait in the park in May, because I want to keep it where I don't have to pivot with COVID. What I mean by that is, and everybody's area is different. So you may not have that option, but if we did portraits in the park, we're outside, it's easier to distance and that type of thing. Now, you might be in an area that even that's not okay. So you might do something that's a drive-through or a mailer or something to that effect. So that's where you want to get it or for your area. And then let's say a Thanksgiving pie day. So they're spread out enough that I'm not tripping over myself to get those pieces done. And I can see it, at a glance for the year. What have I got planned to do? Now, the most important piece of this is going to be then to go, like if you notice, all of these market update emails, I've been doing about the 3rd week of the month, but or the 4th week of the month, I up them the week of Thanksgiving in December, because I don't want to plan on, I'm not doing it on Christmas Day, right? Like I'm going to be off. So that allows you to upfront look at some of these things. And let's say that you take the week of Thanksgiving off because you travel to be with family or something. Well, you go, well, you know what? Pie Day doesn't work for me. I'm going to do a different event. And this is when I'm going to do it type thing. That gives you, again, that's why we want to look at it all at a glance so that you have some flexibility and you can make that movement easier. Now, the other piece is, if you'll notice with this, so I've got the Reverse Bold 100 and then my next, and then you've got 2 months or 1 month, 2 months and then a portrait in the park. You could do a promotion here. So, space them out. You don't want all of your events at the end of the year or all of your promotions together so that because one of the cool parts is we take Thanksgiving Pie Day as an example. if we're doing it on that Monday, I want to work backwards, and I want to say up to 6 weeks backwards. And I want to go, okay, if I go 6 weeks backwards, that's going to put me right here. This week, I want to do save the date. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go, you know what? I actually planned or already doing an email on the 6th. So what I'm going to do is I'm either going to back it up so that it's incorporated into that email. And for our purposes today, I'm going to insert a note here, and I'm going to say save the date email, right? So whatever email I was already going to send out, I'm going to tagline it or something and say, hey, and by the way, save the date because we're going to have pies for you on the 22nd. No need to buy this or this. You get to pick your pie, right? So I know that that's got to do with my promotion. And then I go, okay, I want to make sure that when I'm calling, I know my pie day's here. That means in October, when I'm calling people, I want to make sure that tagline, hey, and by the way, right, like whatever my script is for the quarter, I want to then say, and by the way, be on the lookout. You're going to get an email and some information because we're inviting you to Pie Day. So all of those things, right, are happening. And then you said, okay, here, I'm going to go ahead. You might have a bullet point right here that says, I need to actually order the pies. It allows you to go ahead and break that all the way back, or I need to price the pies or whatever that is. It's not coming up on you the week before and going, oh, I got to do everything right now. Okay. Any questions around these pieces or extra things that you want that I can answer questions on?
How did you write in it? I saw you did the color. I'm just messing around with mine over here. And I wanted to write a note in it.
I have a Mac. So whenever I click it with 2 fingers, it gives me the option to come down here and insert note.
Where are you clicking?
On the actual, wherever I want wherever I want to put the note in. Like in this situation, I clicked on the 22nd. I double clicked on it. And then I was able to come down and hit insert note.
Yeah, mine's not doing that. I double click it. It doesn't open up.
It probably, if you click it and then right click it on your mouse in the cell, it'll come up.
Yeah. Yeah. So click it first and then double click it.
So I'm in. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. I can type inside of it. Okay. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Anything else with what we're looking at right now?
What is a bold, reverse bold?
So I'll send that to you. We have a step-by-step. It's basically how do we get 100 people calling us in one day? Matter of fact, Tracy, who's on the line with us today, she's done several of them. Tracy, what was the last result? Didn't you have 14 pieces of business that came from that, 180 calls backs?
Wow.
We've done several of them. The last one that we did, I'm trying to think. We did a May Day. So back in May, we did May Day. We were giving away $250 in groceries. And so we said, hey, you can enter in for an opportunity to win again if you answer 2 questions. Number 1, who do you know that's looking to move in the next 12 months? And are you considering a move in the next 12 months? And then you can get a 3rd entry by going in and giving us a review on Facebook or Google or wherever. And then we would just text that out to them. So not only did we get business from it, we identified people in our pipeline that we needed to follow up with.
Yeah, that's great.
Great question. And thank you, Tracy, for sharing that. Yes, she's a great resource. And like I said, we've got a step-by-step on how to do that. And then a lot of agents have like stepped it up one more level, right? So I'd be happy to share that. It's a great promotion because go into your database.
Olivia, that I want to add on that is one of the things that we struggled with is the follow-up afterwards, right? So not only are you going to have your event on here, if you have a reverse bold 100 or you have your Pi Day event, it's also the follow-up steps need to be on your calendar for afterwards of, hey, we're going to send thank you notes to everybody that participated. We're going to call and reach out and making sure that we follow up with the leads. And so the follow-up is the goal. Really needs to be on the calendar too.
And so I'm so glad that you said that because absolutely. So let's say Pi Day. Let's say you take pictures, you celebrate, sending out a, so having a date that you're going to send out a, maybe that's January or December 1st email that goes out that says, you know, thank you so much for coming. We had so much fun, pictures. And then another email that goes out to everybody that didn't come and say, hey, we missed you. Right. So putting that as part of the calendar as well can be a huge. And then I know to piggyback with what Tracy said is there may have been people that called that you weren't able to get to that day. If it's a reverse bold 100 or something like that, do you have the time in there to follow up and go, hey, thanks, I got your message. We did get your name in the drawing, blah, 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 whatever. So yes, what are we doing after the event? Because it doesn't just stop with the event. You want that in there as well. Okay. Now I want to go to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. I'm going to pull something back up and I want to share, and I'll reshare in just a second. I'm going to share some examples of what those emails can be when we talk about what do we want the monthly emails to be. And I'm talking about being, you know, hyper local. Okay, so this is an example when we're talking about it being hyper local. So you could do a video on how accurate the Zillow estimates are. You could do a video on how to handle multiple offers as a buyer. You could do how to handle multiple offers as a seller. What are some of the biggest mistakes homeowners make when selling their home? So you literally could say, okay, that's my January video, that's my email, that's my February, that's my March, that's my April. Right. One of the things a lot of times, some of us are great writers or coming up with great content. If you are, create your own. If you're not, Google it. There is some realtor in some other part of the country that's done a video or take their information, make it your own, you know what I mean? Use that as an idea and then make your own and then send that out. And that's why the videos are great and just short, quick videos. Maybe it's like I said, what's going on in the area real estate market? Is it a buyer sellers? What's the current housing inventory? Important question to ask while house hunting. So these are just some great pieces for you to go, okay, what can that other email be about in my database? And then going ahead and pre-planning all of that. Even if you don't, love to see you pre-plan the entire year, but you might go, you know what, let me pre-plan the first quarter. Right? Let me get the first quarter going. Any questions around those pieces?
So can you send those ideas, or are they video links there or no?
So this is from a company called Viral Marketing that I use to do my videos and that type of thing. So yes, I can send them because they're out there on the internet. They're just examples.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can send those.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And then there was something else that I was going to share. Okay. So yes, so that is, and again, the one big thing that I want to make sure of is is to not overwhelm us in the, we've got to do all of this right now. So if you are just now really building into the database, you might go, you know what, I'm just going to pull 2 emails in Command and send them right now. Like, I'm not going to get fancy yet. I just want to get in the habit of making my calls and sending out something, right? Then the more you do it, then you're going to go to, okay, if I go back here, 1 second, let me go back to where I was. For some of you, you're going to say, okay, we've got the base. Now it's time for, like, we've got the 2 emails that go out. We're doing events. We're doing promotions. Now it's time for, I want to start doing snail mail to my database once a month, once a quarter, right? Because a lot of times what I find is we spend a lot of money finding leads like Zillow or Facebook ads or all those, and we don't typically spend money with the people that already know and love us. So you might look at it and go, you know what, I want to spend $250 a month for my mailers to those people in my database that are, that I would consider my sphere. Again, but you want to do that where it's appropriate, right? When we look at, are we getting in touch with people? Are we staying in touch? Okay, so I want to hear from you guys as far as, is this something that's beneficial? Is this something that, because I want to start talking next as far as like the nuts and bolts of going, okay, now how do we actually get this into Command or get this into our follow-up system?
Yeah,
Question thoughts around this right now.
Somebody want to say? Oh, yeah, I like this, calling and texting, but you only have so much time in a day. So I'm thinking, like, in that, say if I were to take 2 hours to do this, I mean, some of it I'm wondering if, it could even be just note cards, writing up note cards to some of these people and kind of breaking it up that way too.
It could be. I will say that time and time again, when Gary does the research, the thing that we see that gives us the biggest return is that talking to people. Gotcha. So if you didn't do, because this is the interesting thing, let's say you didn't do any of this stuff, and yet you talk to them, your return's going to be higher than somebody that did all of this with no phone calls. Okay. So really the most important is the phone piece. So a lot of times when people start getting into this, I say, look, your first quarter might simply be let's just do the calls. Let's just do the contacts. And I say calls, but whether it's text messages or phone calls, but like where it's personal, let's just get that down the first quarter. Then we'll start working on the follow-up emails. Then we'll start working on, because those things just support those calls or give you reasons to call them for, is what that does.
Okay.
And then the other piece is depending on how big your database is, it might be, because like a lot of times if you pull like everybody's last name with A and W, you might go, I have 200 A and Ws. I'm not going to be able to call all of those this week. So you might go, I pulled these in. I really only have 30 of them that I would consider my true met. The other ones, they're still suspects. They're not necessarily part of what I would consider my database piece, and that can limit it as well, if that helps. And that's more of an individual. We can look at your particular database. Okay.
What's the blue?
What's the what?
The green for emails, but what is the blue on the 27th?
I just used blue for the promotions.
Promotions, okay.
Yeah. And again, this is, and the only reason I color coded so that when you look at it, you go, okay, this is for that. Because you could even come over here, kind of how I have this, instead of doing like E for email, that's the way I was originally going to do it. I would now do blue promotions. And that's kind of your cheat sheet, for lack of a better word. Green newsletter, something like that. Yeah. Now, one of the coaching clients, she took this, and I always love when you guys take it and step it up even further. She went through and identified her days off. So she put in purple her days off. Like, kind of, we talk about pre-planning the entire year. So what day a week are you going to take a half day off or a full day off? What quarter are you going to take a vacation or a long weekend? Well, the reason why that's too, it's really important to pre-plan it, because we don't pre-plan it, it doesn't actually happen. And let's say that we're planning on, let's say that we are planning on taking a week vacation in May. And then we put that on our calendar and go, oh goodness, I also said that I was going to do my Portraits in the Park event on the 23rd. Let me change now my Portraits in the Park to June, because I don't want to be worried about coming back into town and not having something handled, or vice versa, right? So again, it allows you to kind of superimpose what your plans are this year on that as well. The other piece is if you're running a team, this also gives you an opportunity. So I'm going to use Tracy and Daisy as an example. So Tracy says, I'm going on vacation in May. And Daisy goes, well, I was planning on going on vacation in May. Well, they got to duke it out. Like it doesn't work for both of them to be on vacation during that week, if at all possible. So where do we need to make adjustments? So again, everything is in one place so that you're familiar. You can take it, you can make adjustments and make plans. Okay. All right. And again, I know a lot of you guys have seen this, you're familiar, and yet I also know that we don't necessarily have it all the way done yet. So that's why I wanted to offer this as kind of a bonus call. Now, any other questions, comments around this piece? Things that have worked for you, things that you'd like to change?
So do you do like a newsletter once a month? How often do you do that?
Yeah, the newsletter once a month. And let me back up. When I say a newsletter once a month, you want to talk about the market. You might choose to do it in a newsletter form. You might choose to do it in an email form, or you might choose to do it in a video form. That's completely right. Like that just what makes sense for you in your business or you right now. Preferably there would be 2 emails a month that were video, and underneath the video would actually say what the video is about. That way people that like to watch the video will watch it. The people that like to read it will read it.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things that start simple and then build it into whatever you want to build it into. That way we don't get stuck in paralysis analysis. All right, Dylan, you had a question. Would it be too excessive to send a reminder confirmation email at 3 weeks out to our clients when planning an event? Or do we try to get the confirmation about? No, so that's a great. So, and then Tracy, you almost answered this, right? It's an 8x8 for your event. It is about the touches, like not the event. Absolutely. The event gives you a reason to talk to them. So Dylan, you want it like that save the date email that goes out 8 weeks before. You can start asking for confirmation way out then and keep asking for confirmation, all the way up to, the week before, right? Because, you're going to get some, I want most of us have all been in a bold room at some point or another. Think about your team leader starts telling you, hey, prepare for bold. Who wants to sign up? And they get some people signed up there. And the next week they talk about it. And the next week, because we know that some people are going to do it now. Some people aren't going to do it till the day before the event, right? So the whole time, Dylan, I hope that helps or answers that question.
Olivia, the other good part about that is the ones that do confirm, we always make sure to call them and say, hey, we're so excited to see you, so that you're retouching them as well, not just trying to get the ones that aren't coming.
Yeah, and that's huge right there. So if they RSVP, exactly what Tanya said, and then the flip side of that, if they say no, use that as an opportunity too to call them and go, because remember, it's about the touches. And just call them, oh my gosh, I hate that you're not going to be able to come. Hopefully you have something great going on. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be out of town or whatever, but it still gives you an opportunity to touch them. And that's really the point of it. Right. So absolutely.
Well, and you also have to use different vehicles of communication. So, you may send out a postcard, but then also, invite them on a Facebook event. It's also sending out text messages through Zipwhip, right? I mean, sending private messages on Facebook, because not everybody, we have older clients that aren't on social media, but we want to make sure that, they still get invited, and vice versa. So multiple channels of communication help.
That's right. And that's that 8 weeks. So maybe week 8, you're sending the email. Week 7, you're 7 weeks before, you're doing the Facebook message. The 6 weeks before, you're doing the text message. All the way through, you're doing different forms. So you're going to catch them on one or the other is the intent. Absolutely. Okay. Now, one of the things that I did want to, how many of us are using Command as Command as their database? Okay. Tanya, Tracy, Dylan, are you guys using Command? Actually, I know you are, or you were, Kathy. Okay. So, something that I want to, if anybody is like, well, I want to send out emails from Command, and maybe you're not sure how to do that so that you can mass email. If you will put in the chat box right now, like, hey, I'm one of those, I want to do it, but I don't know how to. I'll have Mon reach out to you, and for everybody I think knows, but if not, Mon, say hey.
Hey guys.
Mon works with me. He's my cyberbacker, and he's amazing with these pieces. And he will actually, we can set up either a group time or an individual time, and he can help show you how to do that. And so that you can mass email as an action plan. And like Paula, if you don't have, or anybody that doesn't have your tag set up for the DTD2, he can, we can set up a time and he can work with you in your system to help you do that as well. And then I will be the DTD2 system that we talked about. I am going to re-email that out to everybody just so that you have this year's, even though we've already, just put them here, but that'll kind of just be a different or a further explanation. Okay. So any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, this is a great start for me. And it's not overwhelming. Good. So I like this because I know I have all these thoughts that keep going through my head, and I kind of overwhelm myself with trying to do too much. So I have all this, I want to, keep talking to you and asking you about, well, what about this, that, and the rest? And I think this is enough for now, for me.
Yeah. Well, and the cool part, because I think Tanya's nodding her head, that sounds like a conversation we've had, right? One thing you might do is you might even create a new tab. So I'm a big fan of let me create That is so not what I wanted to do. Here we go. That's what I want to do. Just to add a new tab. So you might have a new tab that you name thoughts or ideas. And that way, because as you're researching, you're putting together, you're going to think about a million things that you can or you would like to do to plus this, right? Or brain starts. Well, the challenge is then we get so busy plussing that we don't get the basics. So if you had like a thoughts or ideas and every time you thought about it, you added it to this list and then you kept going, I'm going to do the basics. But once I get that like a quarter under me of what I'm doing, I'll come back and look at these thoughts and ideas and then I'll pull that piece in. Because as we get more and more doing this, we'll even pull social media into this at a higher level and things to that effect. And yet that is the intent, is do it without being, the overwhelm piece of it happening. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've got 7 minutes before I'm going to release you guys. So some of you have this. The rest of you that don't, I want you to actually use the 7 minutes. You'll be surprised by, you don't need that much time. Go ahead and start this. So what I mean by that, and I'm going to stay on, I'll be quiet. If you have questions, put it in the chat box or text me, but go ahead and start going. Like for instance, this is, today's the 7th. We know, unless you've already sent an email out this week, you ain't sending an email out this week, and that's okay. But say you might go, you know what, for the week of, or for the month of January, I'm going to send one email out. Choose the date that you're going to do it. Get those dates on here and then go, okay, is there an event that I want to do? This may be like, Paula, you've just stepped in my coaching schedule. This might have been the first time you've heard about that. You might go, just pick it and just put event for now. And just know that I'm going to do some type of event in March and then we'll build it from there. Okay. So if everybody will start on that right now, and utilize the 7 minutes. That way, this like 6 minutes. That way, if you hit a snag, we can answer it while we're on the call. And then y'all can set up a time in your schedule to keep working on this piece.
So you said send out 2 emails a month. And I'm putting in here for just the 1 email right now. Yes.
Start with 1 if you're not already doing it. And then the intent would be 2. So for instance, let's say the 10th, I'm going to do, and I would put and let's say this is the one that I'm going to do is how multiple offers work. And now I've got the 2 that I'm going to send out in February.
So I'm going to put in here, for starters, 1 email a month, because all of these things are new to me right now.
Yes,
and I am slammed, and I don't want to set myself up for failure.
Absolutely. And it's one of those, we're looking for progress, not perfection. So absolutely 1 a month is perfect.
And then like 1 event per quarter?
No, so we only want 2 events per the whole year. I mean, obviously people can do more than that, but we're looking to start with 2 events. So I would plan on maybe, I would probably plan on an event for you just based on, and we may talk about this and move it up later, but I would say do an event for you for the 2nd quarter. So somewhere between.
I mean, and maybe the event, it's not really an event. I love this giveaway, this bold this reverse bold, but I also I like this whole concept of a giveaway. And maybe even that could be like once a month. Is that too much?
Well, so it just because you always got to think about timing. So I would say that we would want to do no more than probably 4 a year right now.
Okay.
Now, with that said, there are ways that because if we start with that, then you might eventually end up where you are doing 1 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Olivia,
Yes.
the Bold 100, just to kind of brainstorm for a second, what are you hearing that other teams or other agents are doing around that to kind of shake it up? I mean, we did our Mayday back when the pandemic's, it was kind of a Mayday, May 1st event. We did another one. We did a coat drive, to reach out to people. What are some other things that you're hearing that are kind of new ideas that maybe we should think about?
So one of my, and I'm going to share some of these, but one of my favorites would be, now the cool part is this would be for your database and you can invite other people outside of your database. But one of my favorite ones that I've heard is the Apple Watch. So you know how we used to talk about you give the teacher an apple, right? Well, doing a thing where you say, look, we're going to give you can call in and nominate your favorite teacher, past or present, for an Apple Watch. And you might, now this is the cool part, especially if you have sponsors, you don't even have to buy the Apple Watch. You have it sponsored because then you'll do this with your sponsors. Then you could turn around and say, let's say now they call in and that second piece might be, oh, and by the way, I have you on the phone. If you would also like to enter a drawing for you to win an Apple Watch, you just need to answer these 3 questions. Now, right. So those are some, that's probably one of my favorite. So I think that could be marketed really well when you talk about a teacher and an Apple Watch.
Or all the grandparents that are currently, teaching their grandkids at home.
Yes, absolutely. That would be that's really fun, right? The other,
I'm laughing because Tanya is.
It's not fun.
The other, there was something else that the Apple Watch, it'll come to me. But there was one other one that I really liked toward that. I will say the big thing is, and this is something that as we went through, Jordan Freed, one of our MAPS coaches, had created this, and we kind of keep adding to it. But you do want to make sure that there are big prizes. And what we've discovered is, and by big prizes, we mean something that people want, an Apple Watch, a Yeti, like you did the groceries, right? Things like that. And then if there's more than one, now, not necessarily a bunch of big ones, but you have if they feel like there's more opportunities to win. So maybe there's 3 gifts or something like that. A lot of times we're seeing more people because they don't think, well, maybe I can't win that, but I may be able to win these other pieces. In this that we can reshare back out with everybody, it talks about the different methods of communication. So postcards, text messages, individual or mass, Facebook event and videos to, boost I will say with voicemail / broadcast, anytime we're doing anything that is mass, check your state laws. Can you do that in your state? Something that you guys might want to start doing as part of your database is getting them to opt in to receiving mass text or mass emails from you. Just letting them know, hey, once a quarter or when we do a giveaway, I'd love to be able to send you a text as a reminder. Do I have your permission to do so? Right? That way we're not violating any of the laws. There's some script examples here. And then prize ideas, the Yeti cooler with golf balls. Somebody did how many golf balls are in the cooler. A Ring doorbell, which surprisingly, because those are not expensive, but I've got a MAPS client that he did a Ring doorbell and had lots and lots of response from that. Nest thermostat, Alexa, Google, smartphone, free carpet cleaning, window washing, that type of thing. Day at the spa, grills or green egg, Apple Watch, staycation, super happy fun day, weekend getaway at a cabin, his or her bicycles with helmets, water bottle. And there's some examples of, and you can brand those, of course. And then there's some examples of what they did here. So I'll share that out.
It's awesome.
Okay, so we're right here at time. So I do want to, was everybody able to put one or two pieces in there? Does it work? Do you have any questions before we wrap?
How do I save it? Is it automatically saved?
Automatically saved as long as you're in Google Drive. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Takeaways. Let's do quick takeaways. So Tanya, give me a takeaway. I'm pick on Tanya. You're on mute. She wasn't really saying anything. She just wanted me to think that. No.
I do get overwhelmed, and you know that because that's one of the clarity that I struggle with. But I think I can do this. And the things that I don't feel comfortable, then I'm just gonna tweak them to make them more me instead of.
Yes, absolutely. Because that's the whole point. Like, because it's not, if it's something that you dread, like for instance, I'm not going to go to, I don't go to parties for the most times. Now you put me in front of a whole group and I'll talk, but I don't go to parties. I'm going to sit in the corner. Right. So then, so it doesn't make sense for me to do a party, but I teach quantum, I'll teach classes for their kids. You know what I mean? So you find that if you're a teacher or if you're a this or if you're a that, make it fit you. Absolutely. Love that. All right. I'm just going to start calling names if you guys don't give me. I need two. Let's take two more. Dylan, Angie, Daisy, Tanya. Come on, let's get two more. What you got from this and we'll wrap up.
You froze and all of a sudden all I heard was my name.
Yeah. I was just asking takeaways. What's your favorite steps?
I just like having it, digitally, because we typically do this towards the end of the year to prepare for the next year. And we usually have it on paper and it's usually everywhere. And then before you know it, we don't know where those papers are or so I just like the fact that it's on Excel and just be able to see it all there is kind of nice.
Perfect. Yeah. And one of yeah. And I'm a huge fan of paper, and yet I agree with you. I like it this way too, because especially nowadays with COVID and everybody's working from different places, you're not going, oh, that's the office on my big screen, right? Or on my thing. Tanya, were you trying to make Julie talk?
Well,
no. Okay.
Is whatever calendar you do manage, which even though we lay it out on paper so you can kind of see the whole year at once, and we would like take sticky notes of ideas and put them where we, wanted to have them, but also going through and putting it on our team calendar every week. So then the team knows these are the 2 letters that we're working on this week, or that helped. And then also going back to, we didn't have to think about it. So when we got off track and we didn't get Popeyes delivered for the week, because that's another thing that we have on our list is our Popeye schedule. So as we didn't make it, or COVID happened, or, we got too busy, we were still able to come back and, okay, we're hit the reset button. All right, let's get back onto our schedule.
Yeah.
Having it on like a team calendar and stuff like that too. That's one thing that we got to get done this week.
Perfect.
I'm looking at these.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And so what I would say next steps, if you don't already have this, go ahead and create it. And then, cause when you do that, I'll have you, it'll be, you'll share it back to me. And that way, as we're moving forward, we know, okay, this is what we're working on. This is where we want to get better at this and that type of thing. Right. Now, some of you guys like Tracy, I'm not really worried about your database per se, because like this, you've been doing it. Now y'all are talking, adding and tweaking and just continue to always make it better. Right. But But if this is the first time, definitely want you to share that back with me so that we can look at it and go, how do we make it bigger, better, and simpler? And then with you, Tracy, or those of you, even like Dylan, you guys have a base of this. Like the question you asked, what are some other people doing with these? Once y'all get it all done, that might be what you email and go, hey, are there quicker, faster? What are other people doing? And then we can help you in that vein. Okay. All right. All right. Well, that is where we will wrap. That is my time. If you guys have additional questions, call me, reach out. Otherwise, we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a great one. Bye.
You too.